Okay, guys, welcome to sort of like a rundown of my Bristol Templar list. So, first of all, the event was fantastic. Thanks to Zach, as per usual. It was a great event. I played 6 fantastic opponents. Was taken down in the semi-finals, but we will go through the run, the list, and the general feel of how that sort of list works. So, this is my list. This is the Black Templars, Righteous Crusaders, 1995 points, and it is the Righteous Crusaders Detachment. So you've got Helbrecht, Chaplain Grimaldis, Castellan with Tanias's Bones, 2 units of 20 Primaris Crusaders with 4 Power Fists, Power Weapon and Power Pistol on the Sword Brother, 7 Chainsaws and 1 Neophyte Gun because it gives the unit the Assault Weapon so they can advance to do actions. And we've got 4 units of 10 Tactical Marines, Multi-Melter, Melter Guns, Sergeant, Power Fist and Combo Weapon, very standard. And 2 units of 5 Assault Intercessors with Jump Packs. They may need to do some mortal wounds, a grenade here and there. They're pretty cool. A unit of 5 Incursors, a unit of 5 Infiltrators, and 3 units of 5 Scout Squads because they are fantastic. They have assault weapons, they have pistols, they can get picked up and come back down. They are, I'd say, essential to most Space Marine lists right now. So we're going to go through a couple of what these things do. So Helbrecht is a Warlord. He has an ability where your unit crits on 5s. So that means if you get sustained hit or lethal hit, it happens at a 5+ rather than a 6+. So then that combines with going into a unit of 20 Primaris Crusaders with the Castellan with Titania's Bones, which number 1 gives you a 5+ Feel No Pain if you choose the 6+ Feel No Pain aura, and halves damage on the Castellan, so it makes it a little bit harder for him to be sniped out. And he also gives lethals like a Lieutenant. So yeah, the Helbrecht unit as standard will have lethal 5s and a 5+ Feel No Pain. Then for a CP, you can put them into the sustained vow in addition to the 6+ Feel No Pain vow, which gives them the sustained and lethals. Now, that combination with Oath and Strength 5 Chainswords is very potent. So another combination with this is use a stratagem for the +1 AP. So you suddenly have like 75 attacks with chainswords, lethaling and sustaining on 5s with strength 5. It's a perfect profile to kill orcs. It's fantastic at killing other marine bodies, and also it's just volume. Like, just to run down a little bit of maths. Let's say you get like 60 attacks with chainswords, so 12 dudes. That's 12. That's basically you get 20 crits. Then when you with your rerolls, you'll get like another 12 crits. So you'll have 32 wounds and 32 sustained. So, and then like another 10 hits or so. So you'll have like 42 hits and 32 wounds from just 12 chainswords. And that's mental because against Catans, dead. Against Wraiths, dead. Like they're insane. That one unit does an insane amount of damage. And Helbrecht himself is an animal. He's got 6 attacks at damage 3, AP3, or that's his sweep, which is AP3 and damage 1. It's a 12 attacks. And for the extra AP, for the extra strat, you can do even big. I mean, generally speaking, because he sustains and lethals, I normally just always go for the big attacks because it's very. I find it's rare that you need these small attacks because even when you're using the bigger, because you've got so many chainsaw attacks in the unit, you rarely need to sweep. I'd rather just pop a CP for precision and get him to kill any characters that are in the unit as well. But yeah, that's what he does. Chaplain Grimaldis in his command phase. First of all, he gives reroll hits to the unit, which is already fantastic, right? He lets them function effectively on their own outside of both, which is very valuable. And also, you can either pick Advance and Charge, an extra AP in combat, or a 5+ Feel No Pain. Now, this is the durability of the list and sort of the annoyance for your opponent, because effectively you can have 40 Marines with you can Arbor Contempt one of them. They'll have cover. You can string them out so you can like remove a few and then they don't get shot again. And they are a 5+ Feel No Pain, so it makes it really awkward for like value volume damage too to really get through. Also, the no escape strat, which happens on a 4+, 3+ if you're doing the correct vow, can stop you from falling back. And if it stops you from falling back in a very particular way, it means that you'll just have like this like large unit that can't be shot. And they'll be right next to them, so you can kill the unit in your opponent's turn, and then charge again with your brick of Crusaders. And that trick comes in clutch quite a lot, which I'll go into later with the pairings. And then I'm going on to the actual Primaris Crusaders themselves. They're cheap. They're OC2. They're durable. They do so much damage with their 5 attacks on the chainswords and 3 attacks on the power fists. They just do a lot. They do a lot of work. They bully primary. They kill stuff. They're fantastic. We love that unit. Then the 4 units 10 tactical marines. I've been questioned about the tactical marines rather a lot. So a lot of people ask me why I take tactical marines, because it's just 40 marine bodies. Now, this list revolves around sort of stat checking your opponents at points, slash most of the time. But the big power of the tactical marines is you have the ability to have 8 units of scoring for effectively 560 points. So that means you can have effectively 70 points a unit. You have like a 5-man OC2 unit. And you can put some of them in reserve to go and try and do deploy. You have basically you'll never get activation locked with this list with your secondaries unless you're getting tabled by a very good army. But that's what these are for: your cleanse pieces, your deploy pieces, which will free up your bricks to go off and cause havoc. And that's what these guys are for. Also, it's one of those with oath, and if you get like your entire tactical, a lot of your tactical squad shooting the same target, they will still do some damage. You're still looking at 8 multi-melt shots, 4 melter gun shots, 4 combis. Like if your opponent gives you a target and sort of underestimates the shooting, you'll kill some stuff, which did happen in one of the games as well. And then we go on to the assault intercessors. These assault intercessors are there so that if you don't roll great advances first turn, you can still cleanse and deploy. That's literally their job. Your scouts can forward deploy and do it as well, but also they're there to do the mortals on a charge, try and take out some tanks here or there, do a grenade, tie up some stuff, kill a little screen, stuff like that. And also they're quick, which gives you an element of threat to the list, which you may not find otherwise, because otherwise everything moves 6 inches and charges, apart from your 1 unit of Crusaders, which can advance and charge from Growlers. Then you have 5 and curses. These guys are basically there for the scout move. And the melter mine, like I think they're actually pretty good. Like if you get to melter mine something, it's effectively the same as the Caskin one, so 2d3 mortal wounds on a 2+, and that along with another couple of interactions can mean you can kill a tank pretty easily. So you've got your assault, so you've got your incursions that can do 2d3 mortal wounds, and they can grenade, and have assault weapons, so they can do all of this at the same time. So you can basically go, let's say you get 3 mortal wounds from a grenade, 4 mortal wounds from the melter mine into a tank. Let's say that's 7 mortal wounds, and if you charge an assault intercessor in and do like 2 or 3 mortals as well, that's 10 mortal wounds to a target. Now, some things don't like 10 mortal wounds, like for example, an avatar or like a chaos tank or anything along those lines. Like 10 mortal wounds is significant damage to specific targets. Also, to be honest, any sort of tank doesn't want to take that amount of damage. So it's something. It's also something that your opponent won't respect, because it's damage across 3 different units doing a couple of different activations, but also means that you can still shoot the incurses elsewhere. You can still, or you can just action with them instead. So you can throw a melter mine, grenade, and action. So you're still getting value out of the unit even with you doing those things. And then 5 infiltrators, they sit at the back, they do a 12-inch deep strike denial, or they can forward deploy in games where your opponent's put too much into reserve and screen out, which is something that happened in round 1. And then we have 3 units of 5 scouts with like a chainsaw, 2 shotguns, pistol launcher, sniper. Very standard. They go up and down. They're fantastic. We love scouts. I think all of my list has 3 units of these guys, just because they're so cheap and they're so good for doing secondaries. Like they advance, you can do your first turn deploy with them if you roll a good advance on them, and if not, you can just move them back and cleanse anyway. So you have all of those good abilities with them as well. So that's the list. That's the general rundown. We're going to go on to round 1. So round 1 was CSM. We were playing the Iron Warriors Detachment here. I can't remember the name of it, but it was an Iron Warriors Detachment. We had a Chaos Lord Bastion plate, which gives him a blank damage, Demon Hammer, and a Plasma Pistol. He went into one of the units of Legionnaires and came off and did some damage. Chaos Lord and Terminator Armor, a Master of Executions, Warpsmith, 10 Cultists, 2 units of 5 Legionnaires, 10 Legionnaires, 10 Chaos Terminators, 5 Havocs with Las Cannons, 5 Havocs with chain Cannons, a Forge Fiend, 2 Venom Crawlers, a Rhino, and a Nurglings. So the first thing I see is a Forge Fiend with my list and go, oh no, this is going to go bad. Because Forge Fiends, even now, into my list are ridiculously good. Like they're just very good profile at killing Space Marines with a 5+ Film Pain. Because they're damage 3, they have volume because they've got blast. Like it's not great. It's not great for the Marines. But turns out that he had a combat weapon on it instead, or something like that. So he only had 2d3. So the damage wasn't as bad, and unfortunately he whiffed each time that thing activated. So it gave me a little bit of breathing room. So we'll go into what happened at the start of the game. So he put the 10 Chaos Terminators in reserve. I thought that was probably a questionable decision, because if I go first, I can screen out the board. He said it'd be fine because he thinks he'll find a gap. and I went first. So, but the thing is, because those Terminators were in reserve, I forward deployed the Infiltrators. I was like, I'm going to put the Infiltrators forward and then advance them out on turn 2, or my turn 2, or I'll play. Basically, I played aggressively because he had like 500 points in reserve, along with the Terminator unit, the Nurglings, and the Terminator Lord. So I just ran at him because that meant he just didn't have enough on the board to stop killing me, or to actually kill me. So I screened up the board for turn 2 and 3. So the Terminators and Lord and the Nurglings unfortunately all died from reserve. I pushed into them, tag stuff, wrap stuff, sat on primary, and it couldn't really be stopped at that point. So the guy that played was very nice, said it was his first tournament, and if you're watching this, it was fantastic playing you, and I hope to see you more because you were a lovely dude, and we had a great game. So yeah, that was for round 1 CSM. I'll go on to then round 2 for Adep Sarus. Sisters are always a weird one because castigators are very good at killing me. And I was a little bit worried about this matchup at first, but then what happened was he committed quite a lot turn 1, and I made a bit of a silly charge. I think it was like an 8 or a 9 or something like that. And but I rolled 11, so I could like go in, wrap something, tag something else, kill a load of units. So I killed like 3 units with Hellbrecht's unit. And then that meant the Hellbrecht's unit was very securely placed on that primary and couldn't really be removed. And then but after that, it was they couldn't really keep up with the damage that I could produce and my fight on deaths and that sort of thing. He tried to focus on killing all the small units, which I don't think was a bad idea. The issue was he charged into one unit, rolled too high of a charge, was positioned in the wrong place, and then Grimaldus' unit would manage to heroic and get the primary again, deny his area denial, and just be a nightmare in general. So yeah, this game was very, very interesting. The guy that I played was very good with the sisters. I think he just got a little bit unlucky at points as well. Also, I passed every battle shock from the castigators, which was unlucky because if I fail one of those, then I don't fight on death. He can go in and just run havoc with the with his Paragon Warsuits and Mornval and the Repentia and stuff. But unfortunately, he wasn't able to get through that. So it was a great game. And yeah, this was a win to me. Then we go on to the next one. So this is the Enari. This is one that you probably see find quite familiar. Dan Bates used to run this similar build back. I think he ran it. I can't remember which event it was, but he ran it and did very well with it and came second with it. Has the Spirits, has the Overray, has five Rangers, 2 units 5 Shadow Spectres, Rad Runners, 3 D Cannons, 2 units 5 Swooping Hawks, 5 Troop, 5 Hawk Spiders, 10 Wraithblades, Mandrakes, and 3 units 5 Scourge with Dark Lances. This is run by Mr. Nick Willingale. I've played a few games against Nick. We always have a great game. This one went a bit wild with some Feel the Pains going my way quite a lot. And Nick got a bit unlucky on some of his shooting. So it basically got to the point where it was quite tight throughout the entire game. Managed to take the win but it was a fantastic game. Always a pleasure to play Nick. And yeah, so that was the Enari game, and it was kill more. And that's the thing. This is the reason why the tactical is quite good, because then they just sort of all brick into a 10-man rather than give up lots of kills for 5-mans, which made it more difficult for Nick to get kills out of line of sight. He still did a very good job, though. I think he pretty much tailed me by the end of the game. But yeah, this is a great game. And then we're on to round 4. So World Eaters. World Eaters, I think, are one of the coolest armies in the game. I played a gentleman who is Scrivens, and he's a lovely guy. He basically said I could play for points here, or I could play to win. He played to win and ran at me, which I respect. He's the World Eaters off. The World Eaters do tend to like that sort of style of play. He did, however, make one mistake, which I did talk to him about afterwards. He could where Hellbrecht was positioned, he could have avoided the fight on death by charging the wherever he was going to. He was charging Angron into precision mount, which he's not going to survive that. But he charged you an exalted 8-bound in and into one corner, and then charged another unit 8-bound to take the fight on death. When realistically, all he had to do was charge the exalted 8-bound in, base the 2 that he needed to, and then go round the piece of terrain and stay an inch away. So the Hellbrecht, no matter where he goes, can't activate and attack. But unfortunately, because he did that, it gave Hellbrecht an activation. He did fight on death, and he did kill 3 8-bound. So I got a unit for free there, and then the rest of the fight on death went quite well. think I killed 4 8-bound. Angron tanked it like a beast, but I didn't because I knew where Angron was at that point. I didn't really mind because as soon as I know where Angron is, I'd rather know where he is, know exactly what he's going to kill, rather than kill him and then he comes back and completely dominates the game in a different sense. Because where it was currently, it was quite secure because Grimaldus with his advance and charge rolled like a 12-inch on the charge or an 11-inch on the charge. Charged into a Forge Fiend, wrapped around, and then piled onto his home primary, which then meant I burnt his home primary in turn 4, because that was on turn 3. So I managed to burn his home primary, and that meant that I only scored 5 primary on turn 5, but because I burnt in the middle and in his home, then that meant I was able to get my 50 primary. And his cards sort of betrayed him at the end as well. He didn't get a capture when he really wanted to, because if he got captured round 5, he was going to get it, because I couldn't stop Angron from going around and killing 5 Marines, because you know who can. So his cards betrayed him at points, but he played it really well. And the Forge Fiends were really good, interesting tech, because he was basically trying to use them to get around the fights on death. Now, unfortunately, my army is like leadership 5 across the board, with the 6+ Feel No Pain vow. So it's quite hard to use the battle shock checks, really, especially when it's not a -1 or anything to it. So I kept passing them, but he did kill a lot of stuff. Yeah, the Forge Fiends did work, and the Exalted 8-bound, I'm pretty sure they picked up a brick. But they'd lost 4 in return, which still isn't bad. But that unit died rather quickly. And yeah, so that was the Worldies game. Fantastic game. If you're watching, dude, like honestly, that was probably one of my favorite games of the event, because I really like that list. Then we're on to the Necrons. So this gentleman was a delight to play. His energy on the table was insane. He was having an absolute whale of time, and so was I, because he was. His laugh was infectious. So we had a Chronomancer with Auto Divinator, which I believe is the shoot and move back. A Technomancer with Dimensional Sanctum, which is the forward deploy. 2 Technomancers, 10 Immortals with Gauss, 3 Doomstalkers, 6 Wraiths, 3 and 6 Wraiths, 2 Doomsday Arcs, and a Locust Destroyer. Now, my list was designed for this list originally, and it showed. Like the Hellbreak brick will kill a unit of Wraiths, no problem, like twice over. So basically, what happened was the Grimaldus' unit advances and charges, goes over, stops the unit of Wraiths falling back, kills them over the course of 2 turns, while Hellbrecht focuses on the other 2. And then once Grimaldus finished off that unit, he then charged, because he killed it in his turn. He then charged and wrapped everything. So he tagged everything and wrapped everything, so everything was -1. He made it so that the things that he was in combat with couldn't physically fall back, because the Doomsday Arc is quite big. So he couldn't get shot, and that was my deploy piece for the rest of the game. So this one was quite a difficult matchup for him, because this is what the list was designed for originally. And that was before the nerfs. So so he couldn't really activate his Doomstalkers very well. He couldn't reactivate his Doomsday Arcs very well, just because of the way it was positioned. And I got a little bit lucky on all of my no escape strats. And yeah, then I had 10 Immortals, and then the 10 Immortals just came out and shot something and came back in every turn. But yeah, he struggled in this game just because of the nature of the list. But he was fantastic to play against. And the Tactical Marines did really well in this game as well, because all of the 5-mans basically, I could just run around and tag stuff and just make it awkward for him to really activate his army. It's the full efficiency that he really wants to. Round 6. This is where I was foiled by John. His list, by the way, guys, is insanely good. Like, I was very impressed with this list. It was Renegade Raiders. First time I really had some experience into them. And I'd love to say that he rolled exceptionally well and killed my army, but I think he rolled pretty much bang averagely, maybe even a little bit lower points, and killed my army. This list is crazy good. The Predator Destructors activate in a way that they're AP1 naturally. They're AP2 if they're shooting something on an objective. They're AP3 for shooting at infantry, and they're AP4 if you use a sorcerer in Terminator armor to use psychopaths to get an extra AP. Now this is insane. Like I couldn't keep up with it, because basically he was just like roll Feel No Pains at damage 3 for the big bricks. I also failed a 7-inch charge turn 1 and another 5-inch charge, but like, I think if I made the 7-inch charge, I was in a relatively good position, because if I make that with like an 8 or a 9, I can wrap the Rhino. The Chosen can't come out and activate because I've wrapped the Rhino, and it's really hard for him to like dig me out at that point. But unfortunately, I failed the charge. The Chosen come out and kill the unit, so that was a bit bit rough. But yeah, and the Havocs with chain cannons make a mess. Like they're AP1, AP2, they go from AP1 to AP2 to AP3. Like the Havocs and chain cannons in Renegade Raiders are a bit nuts. The Warp Talons didn't really do much. I think they killed 2 units of scouts because they didn't need to do anything because the rest of the army just killed Marines so well. It just ripped through me. John was an absolute pleasure to play. Managed to get 3rd in the end after losing this game. But Renegade Raiders is something I'm very interested in now, and I was quite impressed with, to be honest. But yeah, congrats to John again. He went into the final and won. So I lost to the guy who won the event, so that's fine, right? But I really like his list. I hope to see him at more events and see how he gets on with his Renegade Raiders more. It's a very, very interesting list. And this is sort of a roundup for me. I really enjoyed playing that list over the weekend. I'll be writing more versions of the Templars. I'll be looking at them post slate, see if there's any changes, if anything I can find to make them a little bit better, or maybe have to make some tweaks to make it a little bit worse. And yeah, so thanks for watching, guys. If you stuck with me throughout this entire time, then thank you. Hopefully you'll see me at Sheffield. That's the next event that I will be at. And yeah, thanks, guys. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.